Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very, very dark Donington Park circuit. We're up in close to Derbyshire for the final round of the mini British GT Championship. It's been an absolute brilliant season, full of thrills, full of spills, and everything you wanted in between. Welcome to qualifying. It is myself, Adam Reed, and unfortunately Dan is not back with me, but I do have Matt Malcolm, a driver usually in the mini British GT, inside me. It is going to be a fantastic day, or I should say night here of racing, and what a season we've had.
Yeah, it certainly has. We've seen all the highs, all the lows, but of course we've seen all the action here. And what better way to send off this fantastic season than right where it all began here at Donington Park. But it's a little bit of a difference than compared to the last time we were here. We had sunny skies and a dry track. Now it's completely the opposite, where it's dark skies and a fully wet track. I mean, for this track here, especially, it's going to be one hell of a tough challenge here tonight, especially with lots of people trying to grab the remaining points, as we see the likes of Nico Kampu, Andy Borman, and John Kasienga, as well as Engelhardt, making their way to, well, set the times of the night. Well, currently right now, Engelhardt sits with 1:31 there, but Diego Catalan, the championship winner here for the top split, done it at 1:31.9, Adam. So already a great benchmark set so far. It's just what's going to happen in the next 7 minutes.
Absolutely. Just keeping an eye on that benchmark. And this is not usually the time in the real life British GT Championship that this session usually goes ahead. Otherwise, I think the neighbours will try and get the circuit closed down. Usually you do have a few just after at 6:30, so all engines off by then. But this is sim racing. We get to do whatever we want. We've put Donington Park in the night, and it is absolutely tearing it down with rain, so the GT3 will have to be a little bit careful. And I don't think we've had plentiful amounts of rain over the course of the season. I think it's more been I believe maybe Snetterton and Silverstone had a touch of rain, but this is kind of the mass extent that we've had throughout the season. Of course, as usual, we do have our split 1 and split 2 that have joined in. I think ever since round 4 at Snetterton. Sorry, I should say Spa. My apologies on that one. They have been combined, but yeah, very early on in the session, these drivers still trying to get used to the conditions. And my goodness me, they are treacherous to say the least.
Certainly are, as we just got sat into John Casalengas, just sitting 2 tenths off from Diego Catalan and his teammate Engelhardt that is currently half a tenth off. Marcus Hansel currently crosses the line, currently sitting P8 with a 8 tenths off from the benchmark. But Adam, you know the rules, and so do I. But for anybody watching at home, what are the rules for qualifying for this series?
And of course, the first half usually about 20-minute session. The first 10 minutes will be taken by the GT3s. They will get their lap time set, and then by the time we get round to the 10-minute mark, it will be the G4s. So I don't expect any form of kind of turn up in terms of the weather. The GT4 will definitely be slower than the threes. It would be a little bit strange seeing a GT4 sitting on pole position whilst the GT3 sit at the back. That would make for an absolute wild race to cap off its 2025 Mini British GT Championship. But yeah, overall, I don't expect that. And also the split qualifying just allows the drivers kind of just get away from each other. You know, there's so many cars out on the circuit. I think we've got about close to 30. So the last thing you want is about 30 different cars from two kind of different categories and different statistics on their cars to be out there at the same time blocking each other, and in these conditions even worse. So kind of make it a little bit fairer. We've got the GT3s on at the same on different fields compared to the
We seem to have lost Adam for a little bit there. We saw John Dalton not making any improvement as he took the win here at Brands Hatch last week. He's certainly got a lot to improve on, especially if he wants to try and take that second win here at the British GT, especially at Donington Park, where it's a track favourite it is, if I'm not mistaken. So, of course, there's plenty of time for him to gain in here. Only 3.5 minutes left until our GT3s will have to yield before the GT4s are unleashed, as Tom Shipston brings himself up to P8, currently 8 tenths off from the standings of a 1:32.460. So a great improvement, but with a few minutes still yet to go, there's still plenty of improvement between these two drivers as well. But for the most part, it's been a really great season when it comes to qualifying. Everything's always been so close between each other. But throughout this entire season, you've been broadcasting the entire part except for Brands Hatch last week. Is there any favourite moments between any of our drivers that you've seen on track so far?
That's a really, really good question, because I think the battle at Silverstone was so promising. You know, there was some really fantastic stuff through there. Having a big rid for the first round at Donington Park held a close place in my heart as well, and there was also some really good action around Spa as well. So really showing off the skill and determination of these GT3 drivers. It's been mightily impressive. Keeping an eye there on the top three. 1.5 tenths of a second separating all three Porsches, with Neil Engelhardt clambering to the top. 135.547 for him in the pit. So he might think that that's all he can do. Big side there from Andrew Riff, the top driver from Split 2. There's Richard Whittle in the Ferrari, I believe the second Ferrari, yes, alongside Andy Boardman, but they are of course in two different splits. Breccia into the pit lane, of course, had a few struggling moments in this championship, but came back with three podiums the last 3 races. So the Mercedes is on for a really good so far. He's got the Mini British GT most recent winner in John Dalton right behind him.
Certainly it's going to be a close battle between them all. Well, the qualifying may be one thing, the race is where all the points are sitting at. But speaking of the points, everybody except for GT4 Split 2, the championship has been sealed. So by going onto the way, we've obviously got between the battle of Callum Kerrigan and Rhys Wilkinson between the GT4s. So with Callum Kerrigan taking an early lead, as we sit into Tom Watts, the number 42 Aston Martin, currently sitting at P13, Between these two drivers of the GT4 splits, with Callum Kerrigan taking an early lead, and then obviously with Reece Wilkinson picking up halfway through, it's a close battle between them two. But with Callum having the edge on the points, do you think he can be able to hold on?
Yeah, I think there'll be a great possibility to kind of carry his momentum for the rest of this qualifying session and also into the race. I think the race will definitely prop up plenty of obstacles throughout the hour that we will have. Obviously, keep an eye on everyone. I say Andy Boardman heading down the hill from Bentley straight in towards the chicane. He's put on a really good performance last time around at Brands Hatch. I believe podium for him. He is absolutely superb job. He's just going to try and continue momentum in what has been a pretty difficult season for the Ferrari driver. He's been the sole Ferrari in the Split 1 class. So all the manufacturer points that I've been calculating up have been pretty much riding on him for now. Do we have Jordan Daly? I wonder in the Aston Martin. I'm being told here we don't. So unfortunately, no Aston Martin. We lost our Ford Mustang a couple of races ago. Andy Boardman will pull over to the side, and out come the GT4s.
But we've still got John Dalton on the final turn here. He's yet to make an improvement onto his P5. 4 tenths off in the lead as he goes towards the line. We'll see if he makes any improvement. And it looks like he's not able to make any sort of improvement between them all. But yes, certainly the GT4s are finally coming out to play. There's plenty of characteristics between all these GT4s, especially as they come round. As you can see, Callum Kerrigan taking the lead on to the GT4 charge. We'll see whether or not he is able to make a lasting impression on the rest of the GT4s. But a lot of them here, a lot of them gone for left field choices, like with currently seeing Joe Dauber currently in the KTM, as well as Damien Lowe and Scooter Skrillex as well, taking those cars. It's a very unusual choice, as it's quite heavily disadvantaged compared to a lot of the other cars. Alongside with Kevin Boss, typically he likes to go with the left field choice or what people tell him to pick. So being in an Aston Martin is something that he probably likely didn't choose himself.
Yeah, absolutely. I do kind of wonder how that's all going to maybe pan out as we go through this qualifying session. But yeah, you can see a massive grid, 34 cars. I did predict 30. Turns out it's 34, so a huge split grid here. We'll have to see what the first lap times are looking like. Usually they'll be about maybe 10 seconds behind the race here, but we'll look right on board here with Callum Kerrigan. The Split 2 Aston Martin driver. He heads in towards Redgate for the first time, just trying to pick a line and drive through it for the first time. He'll probably have watched the GT3s as they were out in their lap times, but yeah, it's a very tricky section heading down towards the Craner curves. Get to the left hand side, doing a little bit of a lift before then slamming on the brakes into Old Hairpin. Carrying a little bit of speed here, but you've really got to be careful because the rear will definitely slide out on you if you're going in too hot there. And we climb up our way in towards McLean's. Get hard on the brakes and really push it on as he just carries on behind one of the cars up ahead. He's got a little bit of spray as well to kind of deal with, and on towards Coppice Corner, you're tagging that apex corner on the right and then just filtering it out a little bit wide. I wonder if the outside line will just post a little bit more grip as well, because of course where the water kind of washes on the inside. Down Bentley straight in towards the Fogarty S's. Clips of both chicanes beautifully there, and the bollards have already been knocked out. Back into round one on the formation that we had the tyre stacks get removed immediately, so there was no love there for the tyre barrier. But in towards Melbourne Hairpin we go. Very good stuff there from Kerrigan. He's all the way down, of course, in 32nd. That will probably be shuffled down even further, but now in toward the final corner, and he's just going to try and carry it round here, keep tight to the apex. He's now going to sprint it out toward the line. He'll be the second driver over the line. It's Joe Dauber ahead of him. He goes to second in the GT4s, and we'll now start to stack up here. 6.5 minutes to go. You're not going to get a lot of lap times here. It's a GT4 class, but super stuff so far.
Super stuff indeed, but even with the limited amount of time, there's still plenty of time to even put an impressionable lap. But of course, it's not all about the qualifying, it's all about the race itself. Sitting on board with Mike Redford, he's definitely been on the charge, but not enough to take the top step of his class just yet. He's been firing it quite fiercely with Martin Lawrence, who's currently on the way to try and secure on his way with cruising to his championship at this point. But with Martin Lawrence, he's a very capable driver. But with Mike Redford in a GT4, it's definitely something that is, well, something to be unexpected when you see him on the podium spot. He's been on the podium spot a couple of times already. It's just whether or not he's able to edge it out tonight to take the top spot. So as he's coming along towards the straights, towards the S's, he needs to carry as much momentum here, because remember, these McLarens, they don't have the same braking capability as the other cars, because they have a forced lock on their brake balances of 60%. So because the real counterpart has an automatic brake bias function here, so he has to work around that. But with the McLaren, it's great on the straight line speed, it corners well, but the braking is its only weakness. It's one that Redford can definitely work around, especially with cars that isn't to his favour, as he goes towards the final corner onto the main back straight. There's a bit of a slide there from Andrew Jackson there. Took a little bit of a wide approach, but as Redford crosses the line, he puts himself up to P3, but only drops down to P4 and P5 as all the other cars are coming in.
Indeed, and that timer is still ticking down. Time championship leader Martin Lawrence goes to the top as well there. 16th overall, of course, will now take that P1 spot. So I believe he's going to be going for his second pole position of the season. Got his first back of Brands Hatch. So really haven't been his lucky charm when it comes to trying to grab pole position. But we're still looking further down. There's still plenty of cars that can grab a good position or two. It looks like Thurbly and Ria, not without lap times there. The Alpine and the Mercedes in it too, still struggling. Spoda Skrillex, I believe, has had a win this season in his in the GT4 category, and he did at the second race at Snetterton. So fantastic stuff there from the Austrian driver. He'll continue to push on. Only sits on the third row of the grid, 5th place for Relax, and we'll see if he can potentially push on the battle between KTM and Chevrolet. It does seem to be there'll be two Chevrolets, in fact, that being Martin Lawrence up against with Thibaut Roskamp. They'll be trying to take down the KTM, but remember there are plenty of KTMs in split one. Odorba there, he's going to potentially go up further. It doesn't look like it. It's Emo Plata, the Dutchman, has taken P1 in the GT4 class. This is starting to get a little bit spicy here, Matt.
Certainly is, but look at it. The top 5 is split between by 0.2 of a second there as Martin Lawrence crosses the line. It doesn't look like there's any improvement between him. But you saw from there, Mike Redford is definitely a driver of that caliber that can bring it up towards the top of the step. But again, the Ginetta seems to be the one that plays out tonight, especially how favorable it plays in the wet weather, especially with how well its traction control limits and its agility through the corners. But with its top speed being the one that's causing its main weakness here, with its very short gear ratio, it's certainly one that is going to be might be struggling on some parts of the track, but we'll see how it goes as we sit into Alex Davey in the McLaren of 420, making his way towards the final, going through the finals first sector here through the first turn. But of course, nice and clean, Adam. So hopefully he can able to bring it on home for the rest of the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very much a whole journey around this circuit. It's almost like trying to attack the Nürburgring, but of course at a very, very smaller extent. How tricky that circuit is. Well, you know, Donington Park is quite simple when it comes to the dry conditions, but in the wet it's kind of a different beast, especially with these high-powered GT cars. Really just have to keep on top of everything, I'd say. You know, it's so important that you're really managing everything. So I think for these guys, they have to keep their wits about them continuously. Joe Dorba there, still just putting himself there onto the third row of the grid for the GT4 class. Still Emo Plata of the GT4 category.
Still a long way to go and still a couple minutes left, but you saw from there Callum Kerrigan took the pole for split 2. Here he is again, still on provisional pole for the likes of split 2 as as Timo Roskam takes off that position for Reese Wilkinson, his main championship rival here. So still a lot to play out for between these two. As Rudy Filmalter also brings a bigger gap between Kerrigan and Wilkinson. So as a split two driver, Rudy Filmalter has a lot to prove. He's definitely a driver that certainly I don't think he deserves a split two. He's definitely, when I've raced him before a year ago, a couple of years back, he certainly felt like a driver that could put a bit more in. But with him having his break from racing, he certainly has done a great job coming back into it.
Indeed, and we're just seeing how that all pans out. Of course, like you said, you've raced with these drivers on multiple occasions all throughout the season, so you kind of know their skill sets and if they deserve to be in each split. You know which drivers have been impressing, which ones haven't been impressing, and I think we spoke. I think last time I was on the stream, we spoke to Les Stevenson. He was kind of saying that I'm right at the top of split 2. And I'm right toward the bottom of split 1. He's right on that kind of cusp of both classes. So yeah, he'll be hoping for a split 1.5, I think, what he's trying to say. But over the line, we'll see with Rillex goes and stay 22nd overall. But the time will continue to fly in here with Thibaut Roscan there, second with the Chevrolets.
It seems to be from Ash Bibby's end, nobody's up on their time, which means that the qualifying results you probably see here is likely to be it for the final qualifying session of the 2025 Mini British GT. So, still, there's plenty of opportunities to be made within the race itself. Of course, it really depends on how well they can play their cards right, especially with how wet and how tricky the cars are going to set on a track as wet as this.
Indeed, it's about where kind of the water is going to be placed for the majority of the time. You're really looking at trying to find those little holes of kind of where the water isn't standing. Already seeing the elevation of the straight. I've been lucky to stand on the kind of entry towards Redgate, which looks like one of our cars has gone straight off that, but. Yeah, you can see kind of how the elevation works around the circuit, and let me tell you, there is plenty of it.
Certainly is plenty, as Philip Reha, currently sitting in the Mercedes AMG, who makes his way towards the final line. We'll see if he makes any sort of improvement. It is an improvement, but it's not enough to make any sort of positions gained. So, as we currently sit in the standings here for qualifying, we have Engelhardt and Kasenja for the Team Shumi Skins, a 1-2 standing here on the top step, with Diego Catalan, Philip Richer, and John Dalton rounding out your top 5. And then for the GT4s, currently saying Emo Plate with Will Stevenson for the Ginettas takes the front row here for the GT4s, with Martin Lawrence and his championship rival Mike Redford both sitting in the second row, along with Joe Dauber not far behind in P5. Certainly, it's very close between them all, but as we have a look towards the standings here, I'll let you run through with the GT3 standings, Adam.
Absolutely. Diego Catalan is your mini British GT3 champion. He was on 180 points, but don't count out second place because Philip Brecher is second place, but he has a little advantage over John Dalton there in third. Winner last time around. It's in third, just ahead of the McLaren of Nico Kumpu. Or Tom Shipston should be over 100 points by the end of tonight's race, with Marco Badowski and Marcus Honsel, I believe, not competing in the last couple of rounds. So unfortunately, with them, we won't go any further. Niels Engelhardt missed out on Snetterton. DNF at Brands Hatch. He sits 8th on 69.5 points. Lily Armstrong and Andy Boardman round out your top 10 this department. Move on to P11, where we find Nicolas Keller in Baron, 38 points he accumulated, and then John Sebastian Kazanjane has shown sparks of incredible racing, and also times where it just hasn't quite gone his way. Carlos Calatiud, the Mercedes, I believe is not with us, but I'll check in with that going into the race. He sits 13th ahead of Jake Howland, Jordan Daly, who is not here. No Nicole Fox, no Tobias Sontag, no Conrad Jensen, no Bruno Teixeira, and no Luke Crofts. They have all signed out of the championship and on towards the back course, more signing out of Giannis Taknidis and Burak Yilmaz like in the Ferraris, but of course they signed out long ago. On to the GT4 Pros.
Yes, Martin Lawrence currently takes the top step and the championship as well with 202 points, with Dauber and Mike Redford both chasing it out with for second place, 132 and 123.5 points respectively. But behind there, we got Will Stevenson and Aaron Jackson, 2 points between each other with 94 and 92 respectively, with Amel Plate and Ted Ers fighting against each other onto there. It's very tight between all the GT4s, isn't it? With Scooter Skrillex and Yano Manso being 4.5 points off each other, with Richard Phillips with 61.5 points to round out your top 10. Taking a look on the second half of the page, you have Raphael Huel with 55 points, Philo Roxcam with 44, so not far behind each other. And then we've also got another battle between Martin Foster and Eric Acne with 29.5 and 22 points, respectively, with everyone else with a dash being signed out of the championship. As we see if we can. So as we can try and see, get a bit of a grid view, we'll try and talk about some of the partners that have been so kind as to help us with the RCI group here. So with us, well, these drivers here, they certainly went fast, Adam, but what better way for them to be just as fast as them is with Coach Delta, Coach Dave Delta. They're one of the major sim setups programs where they can help you with your setups. They've also got a program where you can analyze all your tracks, track data, everything like that. So if you want to know the secret of how the pros are doing it, the secret's there no more. But if you will want to make the one step to bring up your sim racing needs onto there, you can go for our two partners, Ready Set Sim and Moza Racing. Between them, with Mr. Ready Set Sim, you can create your own sort of sim rig setups onto there. You can customize it everywhere, shape, and form, and you can go buy yourself a Moza wheel set. Of course, they're not into sim racing; they're also into the aviation club too. I'm interested into their force feedback flight HOTAS they've got, Adam. So it certainly is an aviation enthusiast like myself. Certainly would love it to have a shot on one of those things there. But of course, with that, you need to have some games to play with all those sim setups, and that's where Green Man Gaming comes by. You can get huge amount of savings on any sort of PC games or anything like that, so you can follow the link down below. And of course, our most recent partner, Pimax VR. I don't know if you're a VR enthusiast like myself, Adam, but with Pimax, they bring out one of the clearest and one of the widest headsets that are available into the market. So with high fidelity, high frame rates, everything like that, they can offer a great experience if you're getting into VR, or if you're an enthusiast like myself. You can definitely take a look at them with any sort of discounts down below. But finally as well, you got to thank Motorsports UK as recommending us an esports community. So obviously we'd like to thank them and thank all of our partners for supporting us on RCI TV and just us as a community.
Absolutely. You're now just seeing the grid for the final round of the mini British GT Championship. Our GT3s very much ready to get excited, get going, and very much excited. You see there John Sabatic, Cass, and Jaina kind of bouncing around, but that's kind of the usual kind of nature that for some reason these cars have at the start of the race. I think that's them kind of loading in. But 8 p.m. is the time. Again, not very realistic compared to what real life will hold, but in racing, we get to do what we want, and John Sebastian not getting away that easy. But we'll go onto our formation lap before heading on to our final hour of the season.
Still a lot to play out for, but if you want to play yourself, Adam, there's still plenty of championships that are oncoming. So I don't know if you do a lot of racing yourself, but I'm excited for the next series that's going to happen here. I know I'm plugging in a lot of information for you folks, but we do have the TCX series coming back, known as the Sylvia series, to run ourselves as the TCX Season 2. That'll be coming in a few weeks' time once this season concludes. But of course, before that, we also got the Bahrain one-off session between the two and Le Mans Ultimate. For yourself, do you race on Le Mans Ultimate?
I don't. I'm more of a console gamer, so unfortunately, I've not been able. I know. I still need to build
You
up the money
certainly
for a
need
PC.
you certainly need to get onto LMU once you get the chance, but there's still play. But with us taking the full, for us having the full charge onto LMU, we're certainly bringing back a lot of things with it, especially with a lot of one-off events, lots a new series on right now with the multi-sprint series. Currently, we're going to be at round 3, as last week we were at Spa-Francorchamps for themselves. So round 3 will be at Algarve, Portugal. So it'll be fun to do along with Imola to last off. But of course, that we do have our 500 kilometers of Le Mans. So it'll be 500 kilometers of the Le Mans track with all the different classes. But if Le Mans Ultimate isn't what it's for you, we also do have the Race Ready Set Sim series on iRacing, a multi-race series following the IMSA series, where essentially they're going through every track on the IMSA calendar with a €400 prize pool between them all. So plenty of exciting things, Adam, to engage for on RCI, especially with how much we're going to be trying to push onto Le Mans Ultimate with their 1.0 release.
Absolutely, I'd love to cover a little bit of LMU. I think it's a really exciting game, exactly what we need, especially for endurance fans. You know, we've really got maybe is Project Cars, the second version, rather than that whatever the third edition was. But anyway, RCI, you can follow us on all our social medias. Please subscribe, like, live stream this, pushing us forward. Anyway, to the final time in the Mini British GT Championship for 2025. They'll head down the straight, 1 hour on the clock at 7 minutes past 8. We will go green for the final time, and it'll be Niels Engelhardt heading down towards turn number 1. Alongside him, his Porsche teammate and the best voted livery on the grid, John Sebastian Kastenjana. They pass their way through, but look how twitchy the Porsche is getting on the outside of the corner there. And Diego Catalan has managed to put himself quite up highly as well here, up into 3rd place. I think there's been a mistake there by Diego Catalan, who's dropped behind Philip Brecher as well. So the Mercedes has managed to jump quite a bit here, but they'll head their way on up the hill. They go, a couple of yellows in behind because somebody has had an instant on towards the Craner curve. They go. Fortunately for them, they've looks like a couple of them have gone away with it, and looks like Ted Urs has headed into the pit lane, so potentially too much damage to the KTM, the manufacturer battle between the KTMs and the Chevrolets. So we'll keep you on tabs with that one, but going into all the second section here, it's looking pretty tight for the moment.
Certainly it's tight for the moment, but a little bit loose on the rear of the grid, especially with a couple of incidents behind. We'll see if we get any chance of replay of this. This is the race at the start of the race here. Richard Whitehall, the 957 Ferrari, currently going on the outside, but just tapping the likes of the Ginetta. It's a car that likes to take a bruising every so often, as we see another replay from Ash Bibby. Taking another look at turn 1, who's saying Andy Borman, the other Ferrari, currently did a little bit of tapping there with Hansel on the BMWs towards the curves there, but it's not too much between too much damage between them both.
I believe that was Les Stevenson, who's been running around like a bit, went off the track and restored like a ping pong ball there. This is Lily Armstrong getting, I believe, spun round. That can't be Lily Armstrong. I think that's one of our McLarens. She's not in a McLaren. Like usually she's in the Porsche. It does look like it. You're right on that one. So Nico Kumpu there, fourth in the championship, was running second for half the season. Now down in 12th, and that's going to be a little bit worrying here for the 256 McLaren. He's really kind of out of the rhythm now, and he's going to have to try and find a way to back up, but it's not going to be an easy task, especially with the track conditions, with the weather that's potentially on course here, and as well as the kind of the lighting situation as well, knowing it's 8 p.m. All the way over in I think September or October, this event would be hosted, and Aaron Jackson trying to find a way through there on one of the Alpines.
Yeah, looking at copies down towards the Starkey Straight is side-by-side action there between the Alpine and the Mercedes, but the Mercedes has better legs as he goes towards the S's there. Sent, sealed and delivered on that fantastic straight line speed move overtake from Aaron Jackson. But of course, like what they're saying, is it's hard to beat on the straight line speed. But of course, we see with the Alpine of the likes of Doobie, they're under threat right now between the other two GT4s of the KTM of Joe Dauber and Davey in the McLaren. So still a lot more to go between the likes of them two.
Is Joe Dauber having a look there behind the Alpine. He will now try and run to the line. The KTM are really putting in a fantastic job so far. He will try and see if he can potentially move on forward. I think that Joe Dauber is actually someone who's fallen back, so he was also involved in the other collision, but he's got a great amount of pace. You know, he's really run so well in the opening round here. I think he's going to look to try and replicate that. He must have some memory of the setup and kind of how he's run lines around here. So well, that will be a little bit skewed by the conditions as well. But looking back to the GT3s, and is that Philip Bretcher with a new livery? It seems like that's kind of reminiscent of the number 18 2Cs Motorsport livery that's currently being run by Kevin C and Maximilian Gotza in the real life championship, with the purple and the blue kind of mixed in together and intertwined there. So I do really like that livery there from Philip Bretcher. Maybe potentially could run it in future round, but he's sitting right behind the Porsche here of Jean-Sebastian Catanjena. Our winner from round one here was Philip Bretcher. We all thought he was going to dominate the championship. No, went to the man behind him, Diego Catalan, but Catanjena is just holding firm here with Niels Engelhardt going over and the line and taking the fastest lap.
Yeah, it certainly is a bit of a surprise to have Philip Bretcher to slip up there. But remember, he did sign out for one of the rounds, so of course he wasn't able to bag any points there. But like a man of himself, he's got plenty of speed in him, because of course he drives in our esports, in our own esports team, and that Bentley. We all love the Bentley in some way or another. Les Stevenson trying to pick up the pieces, trying to bring it back up into the positions, but currently making a great move over towards the Alpine. But with him falling all the way back, it's just trying to pick up the pieces one by one and just trying to bring that car into a position that he can be happy with.
They'll continue to run through the phases here of the race. They'll just kind of and split it up maybe into 3 or 4, maybe even 6 sections, maybe every 10 minutes or whatever you kind of do as a driver. I see Andy Boardman here on the back of Lily Armstrong. Armstrong looks to go defensive in towards the Melbourne hairpin. With the Porsche try and get the best traction, but Boardman kind of running in a very familiar position that he's been running all year long. It was kind of a massive result to get that podium, and kind of a surprise to the system, it seems to me, when I was kind of inputting all my stats. So yeah, I'm hoping he can run well, but still we'll be able to get some points. But I think now Boardman is just trying to hang on and onto the back of Lily Armstrong, and then we'll look to go for a move. Porsche have already wrapped up manufacturers in GT3. They're just going to go out and have fun, and have fun they're doing. They've got 5 cars sitting in the top 7, first, second, 4th, 6th, 7th, and I move Andrew Riffin there because of course he's in split 2. But yeah, you know, 1st, 2nd, 4th, and 7th is not too bad whatsoever.
No, it certainly is good, and of course, with going back to Andy Boardman, it's obviously for a driver like him, Monday championships are a cakewalk for him. He's not only the one you would see on top of the standings or the one that wins the races. So having a season like that, it's unfortunate for him to have all the bad luck that he's had so far. Currently sitting in the fastest lap. Richard Whithull in the other Ferrari for Whithull Wizards in the 957 tries to make a move onto the Ginetta. A little bit of contact between the both. The Ginetta makes a slide but ends up into the gravel trap there. So that'll be something that our live stewards will take a look into him, as Martin Lawrence also almost made the overtake on the likes of the Ferrari itself. So could have been advantage onto Chevrolet for only a split second there, Adam. But for now, it's quite breezy for the top of the GT4s. That's about from here. That's the race replay. That's the race leader. I'm sorry, Adam, for just butting in here. Philip Bretcher tries to make a move on the inside line. Just goes a little bit too much, and they just between Diego, Philip Bretcher, and Jean Casablanca there, it's just a little bit of a train contact there between the three.
The way I saw it there was, I think that it's kind of a concertina effect with Aston Jana there and then the number 911 Porsche going so slow in the middle of the corner. Philip Bretcher was just kind of giving him the big old hurry up, and by the time he was into the corner, he just tapped the back there of the number 911. So unfortunately there for Aston Jana, that's going to drop him all the way back to ninth. But Hope's still running high. I think I don't know about the not sure about the cockpit, but in the comms box, Hope's still running high for him. As I said, don't know what the cockpit is saying, because that Porsche is going to be very, very annoyed. It's going to be very, very fired up. I wonder if that's going to be it's going to really change the attitude of John Sebastian Casangena, because there's some drivers out there that you find that are better driven when they're angry or kind of enraged. It seems to be very reminiscent of Tom Ingram at this exact same circuit. The touring car's got spun round exactly at that corner, and he went from the back, I believe, up to by the end of race 1, he got spun round, and by race 3 he was winning a race. So how that turned out for John Sebastian Casangena. A big moment in this race.
Certainly is a big moment, but sitting in Mike Redford's car here. Obviously, he took a bit of a spin onto turn 1 with the incident that happened at lap 1, turn 1, but he seems to bring himself back up into the positions a little bit slower than you would think. But with the tracks like this, it's going to be slow all the way around, especially with how wet and how slippy this track is going to be. But it doesn't look like there's any too much damage or any damage at all for Mike Redford there. So it looks like he might be able to start making some progress back up onto the grid there. But we'll see what comes of it.
Indeed, Mike Redford has been very, very good in this championship. Let's move away from Redford for the moment, because that's Tom Watts going past one of our GT4s. I believe that might be one of the lap cars. That Ted Urs. Yeah, I believe it is Ted Urs in that kind of masked livery. Remember, escorted himself back to the pit lane after the first corner because he got caught up in an incident. I found himself right back. But yeah, this is the time now where the GT3 will find themselves in contention. Going back to Mike Redford and what I was saying about him, he's been super, super competitive over the course of the season. I've been really impressed with what Mike Redford has managed to do, but he hasn't had a podium since Spa. He's gone 3 races since the podium, finished 6th and then 4th in his split in his GT4 category. So he's very much trying to push on, but he's very much highly in the battle for second place in that GT category class. There's been some really good stuff here. Les Stevenson goes down the inside. I believe that's Emo Plata, the Dutchman, who has just been done around the outside there by the GT3. But that's of course just traffic getting involved.
Certainly is, but Les Stevenson, of course, he's found a way to keep it clean. Very lovely man, as we got to meet him at the start of the year. That given a flash to say thank you as Martin Lawrence lets him through onto turn 1. But for the Roker Poker himself, he's certainly one that likes to rock that the track itself. Adam.
Been told many things about the Roker Poker. I've been told many things about the Roker Poker.
The Roker Poker is it's probably one of the most memorable moments of a track is when you hear the Roker Poker himself on going through traffic.
Is you see that every. Ooh, a
little bit of a slide there between himself. So of course his McLaren 720 is a bit damaged there, as he did have a bit of an incident at turn 1 and had a little bit of a slip at over turn 4 as well, going into the grass section here. Again, Andy Boardman and Lily Armstrong still battling out between them, and I'll let you know something that will blow your mind, Adam. Take a guess. What would you say? Would you say both of them are very good drivers, very smooth, very consistent?
Yeah, they're quite I'd say they're midfield runners, but both of them have been absolutely trying to negotiate GT4 there. That's a brilliant move there. But yeah, what were you going to say?
I was gonna say to if you look at Lily Armstrong, he's very much very smooth on that. But I'll let you know a little secret. I think he's, if I'm not mistaken, he's the only driver on this track that drives the controller.
Yeah, I think that's
It is Lily Armstrong, but well, it is Lily Armstrong. It is our very own Graham Lilith, as he's using a different name this time for his racing. So, Graham Lilith is one of our stewards here on RCI, and he's one of the only few drivers I know that drives around with a controller, and he does it well. Having raced against him again in the 6-hour series. If you just watch his inputs, you can see it's not like a steering wheel. You have to fight under it. It's very sharp, very sharp, very tweaky. So driving on a controller at this caliber in weather like this, it's something you can only commend at.
I've been captain.
You're certainly not. Grim Lilith likes to play around with his name sometimes, and having Lily Armstrong is certainly one he likes to work with. But for Grim himself, he's obviously, as I said, he's a very capable driver, very smooth, very talented, and all that on a controller.
Brilliant stuff there. We've now reached, I believe, a quarter into this race. Now, that's Andy Boardman having a look up the inside of Lily Armstrong. Still not being able to get through. Thought he saw the gap, just couldn't quite make that Ferrari fit between that tiny space. And now it seems to be a big old battle between Riffa and Armstrong and Boardman now. So battle for fifth here in the GT class. Head their way onto all the Fogarty S's. And, that's a bit of a skip and jump through the gravel. And here comes Lily Armstrong down in toward the Melbourne hairpin. Who will be later on the brakes? It looks like down in the into the hairpin. Sticky on the inside past the I think the board that is not allowed to be in the game due to alcohol reasons. And I think now Lily Armstrong would be on that outside line. Can she hold it? Can she hold it? Oh, she will just get the traction. It seems like an Andy Boardman is looking at all this like my dinner's looking at me right now, just behind my laptop as well. So Andy Boardman really wanting to go for it here, but this is some superb battling, all for fifth place. And the GT4s are also getting involved. I think this is going to be Armstrong for the take.
Looks like it might be, but there's a GT4 in the way between the two. It's Rife and Andy Boardman have hit and collided, sending Rife off into the barrier. It's unfortunate between them two because that was such a great battle between them. As we see a replay of Rife and Andy Boardman, just look how close it was between them going to the second corner there. Just a little bit of argy-bargy, and it's just ACC just decided to bounce Rife off into the barrier. So it's a little bit unfortunate for Andrew Rife as he looks towards a top 5 finish. Now a top 10 finish that he will be trying to aim for.
Oh, not forget, that was the exit of Old Hairpin. I think he may have gone a little bit too deep into the third corner on the circuit. So some stuff there. Really unfortunate. But Andy Boardman now will be onto the back here of Armstrong. This is now the battle for fifth, and it's down to just these two drivers. Again, passing, I believe that's going to be Thibaut Roscam. It's Chevrolet. He's going to stay way out the way of this battle, and just relinquish that kind of base on the racetrack.
Certainly is, especially if you're a GT4, you want to keep away from battles like this, because there's a big slide there from Lily Armstrong as he went a bit too deep on the final corner, but it's just not enough for Andy Boardman to get back. But going back, yeah, so it certainly is going to be something where a GT4 need to be out the way of the likes of the battles between GT3s, because you can see how slippery, how much less traction you get and grip from when you compare it onto a dry circuit there. So with these two decking it out of each other, you don't want to be a GT4 in the middle of this at all. As we switch over to Scooter Skrillex trying to fight against Kevin Boss, our EM for this championship here. He certainly wants to try and finish ahead. It's just for bragging rights, really, because between these two here, it doesn't matter who gets ahead, because there's no points that'll be dished out between these two there. But being ahead of a split one driver when you're split two driver, that's something you really want to brag about.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll carry that with pride all throughout. Well, the majority they can before they get overtaken here. But let's have a look down into here. This is Skrillex, and of course, looks like pit stops have come early. It seems like Nico Kumpu is pitted from his position. So is Tom Shit in the Lexus. So, interesting to see they're getting their mandatory stops out of the way. I believe they're trying to just look for a higher place out of traffic as well. A couple of more cars are diving into the lane, so that seems to be about 3 or 4 cars now as it starts to get colossally busy around this racetrack there with Skrillex just trying to hold position now. He does have a Porsche GT3 right up behind him, and that will be very much one to keep an eye out for. Oh, my word, that's Niels Engelhardt just squeezing through him at the size of a Porsche GT3 car. And now will be Philip Brecher going through with Diego Catalan.
Certainly is, and it's quite a close battle between the likes of there. But we'll go to check a race replay. Will Stevenson coming out of the pit lane. Oh no, that's not Will Stevenson. That's Nico Kumpu coming out of the pit lane there. Taking a massive slide after touching the Ginetta. Again, the Ginetta seems to be a car where if you tap it or you try and hit it, that Ginetta will bounce you straight away. So there's something with that car that's got those bumper pads that you see on pinball. As we see onto another race replay between Hugo Duby and Andrew Rife. A little bit of a hit there with the GT4 on GT3 action. So just a little bit of argy-bargy between these drivers.
And we'll just have to see how it all kind of works out here. Diego Catalan gets a little bit of a hit there from Philip Brecher, the 2 championship contenders. I say championship contenders, well, one of them's already wrapped up the title already, but Philip Brecher now with the fastest lap, 1.8 seconds behind, but he doesn't want to give that position up there to Diego Catalan. He wants to be holding on to that as long as he possibly can, and will probably feel a little bit of ounce of pride that he is behind the now newly crowned mini British GT champion. And it will be absolutely gunning for it, whatever possibility he can. He won't want to wait till the pit stops either, and that would just maybe just even waiting and almost hanging out to dry. We'll have to see how this battle kind of forms over the next 40 minutes.
Yeah, we'll see what happens between now and then. But with the pit stop mandatory, you can see on the left hand side, everybody has a 1 on their screen, except for a few people that've got green. Just remember, for this championship, there is a mandatory pit stop, so you need to get 1 litre of fuel and a mandatory tyre change. So it'll at least be a 30-second stop from when they make their time onto the pit lane. But it's whether or not they want to take it early or take it late, or it just really depends on how you want to manage the traffic or how you want to manage your damage. As Diego Catalan looks towards the inside of Philip Brecha, he slams the door shut on Diego. So it's not going to be enough to take on to this corner, but we'll see what happens coming into the next sector between these 2 guys, because they've been properly scrapping out this race so far.
They have, and surprisingly, the gap between him, Philip Brecher and Niels Engelhardt, really been yin and yanging, because that gap has moved from 1.5 to 2.3 based on 1 sector. So it's kind of all down to traffic. It's kind of all down to a mixture of things as well. Yeah, really, Diego Catalan is just trying to push on here. He knows there's a race win, but I do think that there'll be potentially maybe them top 3 in with an opportunity. This is Joe Dorber, and we're also having a look at Jean-Sebastian Castanjena. Sebastian Castanjena pushing his way through. It seemed like they're on the KTM driver, so not massive amounts of damage, but that will unfortunately push Joe Dorber a little bit further down the field. He's down in 23rd. And may happen in terms of a GT4 class, as Ashby is being very excited about.
Certainly is. There's what a way to be excited about as KTM on KTM action here between Joel Dauber and Spooder Skrillex as they battle it out for the P22 side by side through a couple of corners now. They're still side by side. There's a big spin for Spooder Skrillex there. It's not a great point there to spin out as he touched the grass. To see a race replay of these 2 here. They're going side by side with the corner, but it's Speed of Skrillex just touches the curb and it just lands onto the grass point there. It's quite easy to make that mistake, and it is only emphasized the second you touch it on a wet track like this, Adam.
Indeed, and unfortunately there, Spooder Skrillex becomes Spinner Skrillex in that case, because it just moves out wide. Ash Bibby laughing in my ears as well, so that's kind of helped my progress. And of course, just that grass and have no grip. It's ice there with Skrillex not having to try and pull himself forward. Dorber and Redford have also made up positions in that case, but yeah, we're approaching halfway distance into this race. It's getting very challenging for these drivers with the light dropping. And here's Tom Shipston from 17 trying to move his way forward.
Moving his way forward indeed, and still got a way to go until he can make it onto there. But he's done his mandatory pit stop, so he can definitely make some positions up here. As Martin Lawrence, currently sitting in the pit lane right now, kind of just finished up his pit stop requirement. So still a long way to go for a lot of these drivers here. But for Tom Shipston, taking an early pit stop might be the right way to go ahead, especially with this much traffic on the fields.
Yep, well, traffic will be a continuous difficulty, especially at the short circuits, you know, like your Alton Park. I think this may be on the less shorter circuits. I think also Brands Hatch as well will count in that department. I think maybe, you know, we've had Silverstone actually quite long. Edmonton's quite long as well. I think also we've been to Spa, which is over 7 kilometers. So yeah, Brands Hatch and Alton Park really fall into the category where you get loads of as you say, you get loads of traffic. But of course, Alton was split up into 2 races, so you only kind of cross GT3. You kind of cross the GT4s only once. So for them, they were kind of just trying to push on to their race, and they had to go through them once. If they had a whole hour race, and that would have been absolute chaos by the time we get into 40 minutes remaining. But into the pits comes Andrew Reif to try and maybe get out that traffic and just serve that mandatory stop as he heads his way down the hill on towards his pit box, and just manages to get it stopped here. Meanwhile, as of a second, still rages on, and look at Engelhardt. He conceded all that space there. Top 3 were going at it for the win.
Certainly is, and that gap has dropped down from nearly 2 seconds to 0.8 there. So they're all lined up there trying to find their way to take the top step of this race. So between these 3 drivers here, it's been quite close between them, but it's just a shame that Engelhardt has not had a great season. He's had a bit of misfortune when it comes to a few of these races, including his DNF on Brands Hatch last week. But for the most part here, they're both very capable. All 3 of them are very capable drivers. They can give a good battle when they can. But it's whether who can play the better strategy out between these 3. Because remember, they have to go in the pit lane. They have to change into a fresh set of boots. That's going to take a lot of temperature out of their tires, and they're going to have to struggle for a little bit before they can get back up to pace. But with Philip Breccia and Diego Catalan and Engelhardt, it's certainly something that that'll be easy for them to manage.
Well, and we'll have to see how that kind of all pans out, because look at Niels Engelhardt. As you say, he hasn't had the best of races. I believe he's only scored 2 podiums so far this season. Double check my statistics, my stat sheet, and only 1. Only picked that up at Silverstone. But apart from that, it's been a very, very hard season for Niels Engelhardt. And if he can grab a win here, it would really be best results he can get so far. In terms of pit stops, I think they would have to pit very, very soon here, because of course, you know, you're approaching halfway distance. You've got these 2 breathing down your neck, and of course, traffic is going to be oncoming at you for the next, 2 minutes 45 before you get onto that exact halfway mark. But of course, if these guys can continue battling, he's being stuck behind a GT4 here. Through goes Philip Breccia. Breccia's going to get squeezed here. He's going to now open up the space and on toward the Melbourne hairpin. The Mercedes see the gap, go for it, but the Porsche will push his way through. Superb up and under from the German, but the Czech driver will just hold his line, and he will now try and squeeze. Oh my goodness me, that was almost a push there. And into the pits now comes Engelhardt. He's called the shot, and he's absolutely gone for the pit lane. This is going to be crucial for this race.
Certainly is. Outlap will be critical for Engelhardt as he tries to make his way through the pit lane there. But it's just unfortunate timing with traffic, as you might know, tracketh taketh, tracketh giveth to many and to few. So with Philip Retcher now taking the lead of the race, he's going to be trying to push himself as hard as he can to make that distance between the likes of the two drivers behind. But Lily, we're back onto Lily Armstrong there with looks to be Martin Lawrence giving a flash behind, just to give him a little bit of encouragement as he tries to chase Casaninja in the French driver, the 911 Porsche. Is whether or not he can try and make a move on the inside or the outside here, but it's not going to be one he's going to make a move just yet because it's still a little bit too far away. Not as close between our top three drivers as you saw a few moments ago, but as we go into halfway mark, what's the guaranteed way of a race? It's called the John Dalton Zone. That's right. It's where. Do you know the John Dalton Zone, Adam?
Is it where he finds himself middle of nowhere? Fairly long way ahead of him, long way behind him.
Certainly is. He's on an island of his own. So it's like he's an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. There's nothing around you for hundreds, if not thousands of miles in any direction. So it happens to everybody. There is some points where you're just fast enough to be ahead of most people, but you're too slow to catch up with the top guys. I feel the pain that John feels today, but at least for himself, he can be happy as he takes the top step in leading the race for the meantime until he serves his mandatory pit stop.
Absolutely. Of course, you can take that really any time. I think there is usually in a set of course you you can get kind of a timer of where you can pit and where you can't pit, or like when the window's shut. It looks like we've got a yellow flag that is down at Coppice Corner. That's the 136. It seems like that's Pimlot. That's Pimlot. Yeah, we're just about to come up. That's stranded car just stuck in the gravel trap. It seems like he's come so far off. He's off the camera. And there he is. He's parked over to the side. Could that potentially be maybe?
It could be technical difficulties for a car that's been sitting there. For a car that's been sitting there for a while like this, it could easily be technical issues where a wheel could have switched off or your pedals might have disconnected. Like I've gone through it myself, so it's a little bit unusual for a car just sitting there on the track there, but it's completely other way, so it should all be okay for the meantime until Neil Pimlott is able to get himself back on track. But for the meantime, it looks like he's going to be there for the next little bit.
Equipment failure before that kind of wrangled into my brain. Lebrecht's pitted. He now leaped out on the race circuit behind Niels Engelhardt, who glossed over that, and now we find that I think John Sebastian Catanjana has made a pit stop. So is Andy Boardman in the very early stages. Fourth out of the drivers who have pitted. I don't know how realistic that is, but 3.7 seconds to Diego Catalan, who's come out there in P3. This is an absolutely superb battle we're seeing there. This is Les Stevenson in P4 there. Now he is currently sitting second in the split 2 class. Someone else diving off into pit lane. And that's my pause there. But yeah, this is going to be all ruckus here because I think there's going to be plenty of changes. Marco Honzel into the pit lane. That's a name I haven't heard in a while. I haven't seen him compete for quite the time here, but you're starting to see those drivers coming into the pit stop and making that mandatory stop there. Some drivers continue to stay out, see if they can find a little bit of an advantage. Remember, the longer you stay out, the longer you will be in your box to fuel up.
I don't know if you're familiar with it, Assetto Corsa, but it'll be at least a 30-second stop, so there will be no increase or decrease because with the mandatory tire changes, it's fixed at 30 seconds. So there's only player strategy here is whether or not you can get your pits, you can stop your pit box correctly, or if you make it happen in the pit lane, as we get to see a replay right now of Hansel and Kompu. A little bit of door banging there, enough to knock Hansel off the track there, so it's a bit of a shunt onto that part there, so we'll see what comes of it when our live stewards come to there. You must be wondering, what we haven't yet to see any penalties or any incident reports yet, but they will be coming in shortly as our stewards are working hard to get these reports out so we can give you all the updates available.
Indeed, they're kind of happening behind, and there goes what's that? 5-second time penalty, and he's gone off the circuit. He's gone off there at Old Hairpin. Let's have a look and see what happened to the Aston Martins. He turns his way, grabs a little bit curb. He's got a GT4 in front of him. The rear just goes around. I'm not entirely sure if he's touched a wrong part of the circuit. Got too phased there by the GT4, but I think it's kind of an off-track from the reason why he's been given that penalty. So I don't know about you, Matt, but I feel like this might be revoked.
I'm not sure yet. We'll see what comes of it onto there, but we'll catch on at a later point there. But it's unfortunate with Tom Watts to come off the track there. But again, we'll see what comes of it.
What's happened to Diego Catalan down there in 13? He's dropped a massive amount of positions. Les Stevenson has a penalty, so does Will Stevenson. So they have been given penalties pretty similar times. But my big question is, what has happened here with Diego Catalan? Was running third? Go on, Matt.
Yeah, it's a little bit confusing onto there. So normally when you unless Ash has anything on the replay side of things, it might easily be that he spun himself out. So if I want to get a response from Ash to see if he's got anything on the replay. Yeah, so Ash is telling me on the replay here, it's very likely that he's gone and spun himself out, as he's got nothing onto his replay folder, as it normally only shows incidents between cars that have come to contact each other. So with a Catalan, it's very unusual to have him make a mistake like this, because remember, he's a driver that the podium is his home. He's only been out the podium spot only a couple of times this season, so for him having the sheer consistency of being in the whole podium spot, being back in P13, this is very unknown territory for him.
He's had a 100% podium record up until round 4 at Spa. Then he's had a 6th, and then 4th. But as you say, he has made the podium his home. Oh, we've had a replay whilst I was looking at my stats page. So sorry Matt there, sorry Ash. But yeah, I was looking at my stats page whilst that was going on. Philip Brecha, drive-through penalty as well. They're being handed out right now like candy from a sweet shop.
Certainly is, but for the students, for people who don't know, for stewarding purposes, for drive-through penalties, this is something we do not give. So for Philip Brecha, he seemed to have cut the track a few times too many, so it's very likely that he's cut it on the S's section, where it's very common for drivers to make mistakes and go into the gravel trap, where then you'll pick up your penalty for your drive-through, because you only get 3 cuts, and once you pick up your 4th one, that's when you get the drive-through penalty. So while it's cost them a bit of time, it certainly isn't going to cost them too many places. But as I take a look onto the left, I'm seeing all the penalties now coming through. So I'm just going to read out all the lap 1 stuff out first at the minute, and then we'll move over to the rest of them once they all come through. So on lap 1, turn 1, involving the 42 and the 46, a 5-second penalty has been given to car 42 for avoidable contact. But on the same corner, between the same drivers, a warning's been given to car 42 for dangerous driving into turn 1 onto lap 1. So I don't know if we've got a race replay of that particular incident, but what if we do, Ash will play it through. On again, the same lap, same turn between the 71, 46, 48 and 28. An unfortunate racing incident between these drivers, as we get a chance to replay onto here. A little bit of shunting from Mike Rufford there, but it's just an unfortunate part there where it's just there was just too much going on with what has happened there. So it's not really much reaction that come to there. But I've also, again, we have an unfortunate unfortunate racing incident between the 96, 95, 299 for that same incident. But on lap 1, turn 4, between the 957 and the 108, a 5-second penalty be given to 108 for avoidable contact. And lap 1, turn 10, involving the 46 and 717, a 15-second penalty, which you can see with Les Stevenson has been given to the number 46 for avoidable contact, along with lap 1, turn 11, involving the 256 of Andy Boardman and the 88. Oh no, that's not Andy Boardman, that's Gleeson Kampu. 10-second penalty has been given to the car 88 for avoidable contact. So we'll see. So that's a replay of these two here, as you can see, with Andrew Rife and Lily Armstrong. So the 88 will go to Lily Armstrong for the 10-second penalty for spinning out Nico Kampu. Taking a look further down the list here, we have a lap 5, turn 6, involving the 108 and a 957, a 10-second penalty for 957 for avoidable contact, and an incident on lap 6, start finish straight, involving the 75 and the 899. A warning has been given to 75 for aggressive defending. Do you want to read out what's from lap 8 onwards, Adam, to give my voice a little bit of a rest?
I'll be honest, I don't think I have it at the minute. That's not something
I can certainly keep going. I'll keep going on from that point there. So lap 8, turn 6, involving the 96 and 717s, and no further action for minor contact. Lap 11, turn 1, involving the 79, 88, and the 256. No further action been given, as 79 turns in too early and takes himself out. On lap 11, turn 1, the same corner, same lap, between the 106, 108 and the 256. A racing incident will be given between the two, as the 256 is exiting the pits and turns into the 108 into turn 1, with Nico Kampu losing out more. On lap 10, turn 11, involving the 72 and the 79, there's been a racing incident for minor contact, along with lap 12, turn 9 for 60 and the 975 for hard racing as a racing incident. And a warning has been given to 25 on the lap 13, turn 11, involving the 25 and the 75 for avoidable contact. And finally, with our most recent up-to-date incident on lap 13, turn 10, with the 911 and the 777, a racing incident for minor contact. So far we're up to date here on the penalty system here. So if you see any of the red icons there, these drivers here will need to serve it at the end of the race. They can serve it if they decide to take their pit stops, but because there's no more mandatory pit stops, it will be added on to the end of their race. But so far so good when it comes to clean on the middles at the start of the race. Now we come on to the end game here. So with this race, Adam, it's certainly been one that's got a lot of drama and a lot of action.
Indeed, speaking of so far so good, how's the voice?
Nothing that a drink of water wouldn't help.
I'll take over for a bit. Tom Watts was momentarily leading this race, now finds himself in 13th there. Right behind, 6/10 of a second behind Diego Catalan, who's looking to try and find a way past Les Stevenson, but of course a 15-second time penalty. The lap 1 contact for that number 46. That kind of doubts his chances of a P1 in his class. He's 11 seconds behind Riffa there. The overtake now that's happening with Diego Catalan, that's going to be rightly extended all the way to probably what's that, 37 seconds. That is be a huge margin there for Andrew Riffa. Catalan trying to find the exit, but he just can't seem to do so. And it doesn't look like the weather is going to be kind of leaving off here. It doesn't seem like it's going to be kind of doused in dryness, but we'll really have to see here. But yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's going away whatsoever. Diego Catalan down the inside of Redgate corner. He's going to just hold it on the inside line, but Les Stevenson is showing a little bit of split 2 prowess here despite the penalty. He's really been pushing on. And speaking of penalties, look who's been given penalties up in the top 5. It's Lily Armstrong and Philip Breccia. Those are going to be oh so crucial, and that top 3 is not what I expected when I woke up this morning. Diego Catalan giving us the save of all saves on the exit of the old hairpin. a big old tank slapper out of the corner because he got on the very slippery grass. But as I say, that top three is not what I expected when I woke up this morning. Engelhardt, Boardman, Cass and Jaina. I believe we're going to get a first win for Engelhardt, a podium for Andy Boardman, and a best finish as well for him. And Sean Sebastian, Cass and Jaina, I believe, a second podium for him. Meanwhile, this is Philip Ria in the... that's I'm not really sure what that is, but he's made contact there with Mercedes, slowed right down, let the AMG go on by. But yeah, some really sketchy stuff there, and that's really coming with the conditions and the weather and the lighting as well that's been given. Remember, you have no lights around here at Donington Park. You've only really got the garage lighting. That's pretty much it. Any of the lighting from race control as well, that's usually kind of a thing, and then of course you've got the headlights around the circuit. Other than that, there's no kind of, you know, headlights around the circuit. There's no floodlights whatsoever, and it's really such a momentum. I think not even Silverstone has. I don't think even Silverstone has floodlights either. So
no, it's,
yeah, that can't
it's only really the grandstand, isn't it? That only really has the sort of floodlights.
Yeah, as I was saying, Hugo Duby, the Frenchman, into the pit lane. Continue what you were saying, Matt.
Yeah, sorry, I was gonna say this. The Silverstone would have the headlights there, but we saw Duby there with a drive-through penalty, so he obviously cut the corner one too many times. But you see the battle here between Diego Catalan and Les Stevenson. It wasn't really too much of a battle because, of course, he can hold off between the 15-second penalty, but it's to go side by side towards the S's here. It's whether or not who's going to take the edge here, but it's Diego Catalan that pulls on through. But as he takes a bit of a slower approach, Les Stevenson has a little bit more overspeed as he catches on towards the curve itself, but it's not enough to make it round there. Or Les Stevenson just wants to let him continue on with his own race. But of course, there's a few more incidents that have come up since I decided to take my little break. Just about 2 or 3 more incidents onto here. So a lap 19, turn 4, involving the 8. It looks. Hold on, I'm just seeing where it is. Oh, there's a few more. I'm reading up the wrong position here. So lap 14, turn 10, with the 108 and a 992. So a warning from the 992 for the excessive dive bomb. Lap 16, turn 6, involving the 42 and the 79. There's a racing incident for minor contact. The 777 and the 42 until turn 6, lap 16. A 10-second penalty for number 42 for avoidable contact. On lap 19, turn 11, between the 25 and the 992 is an RI for minor contact. And a warning's been given to 97 for unpredictable driving involving himself and the 899 on lap 19, turn 4. And again, and lap 19 to 11 with 46 and 200, and an RI has been given for minor contact, along with a 992 and 75 on lap 20, turn 5. And another warning has been given to car 79 on lap 20 in turn 8, involving the 108 and 79. But because of it being a second warning, their penalty has been upgraded to a 5-second penalty for an excessive dive bombing, leading to avoidable contact. So it's one of the things here, you do get one chance if you make a sort of a silly mistake, which you get a warning, but that's your only strike you get. Once you get onto there, you then get the 5-second penalty added onto you. But let's see Philip Breccia make the move onto the little Alpine there as he tries to defend away from Lily Armstrong. Both have a 10-second penalty, so there's not really anything they can do to make themselves have a comfortable 13 minutes that's left on the session there.
Indeed. As you say, 13 minutes, still plenty of potential changes to go on in this race as Lily Armstrong, we watch on our screens through the S's section, the very tricky chicane that plenty of drivers have been getting their penalties at, down toward the Melbourne hairpin, in chase of Philip Breccia there in the Mercedes. So the Porsche is pretty much right there with the Mercedes, but we know what Breccia's pace has been like. He's moved right up, I believe he started on the row, then climbed himself up into towards second, found himself in the lead, I thought, for a second, did, and then Engelhardt dipped off to the pits, And he got a drive through plus a 10-second time penalty. So this is going to drop him all the way down to, I'm going to say, 7th on this part. Like Marco Honzel's, but behind Nico Kumpu anytime soon. But he can push that up to 6th, it seems. Like, yeah, just have a look there. The calculations, I think it will actually be 5th because with Armstrong and his own penalty, John Dalton will go to 4th, and then that will kind of spell out yeah, 5th place there for Brecht. So not that bad, but not what he wanted to end his mini British GT Championship with, as Neil Engelhardt continues to dive on through the carnage that is the GT4s, and look how many there are at that south end of the circuit.
Certainly is a lot. It's whether or not the GT3s are able to slip on through, as Niels Engelhardt tries to find a way around a lapped Ferrari that leads the Richard Whitehall onto that spot there. So he'll probably need to move to let the Porsche through. But of course, with Engelhardt having a good distance between himself and Andy Boardman, he can really just cruise on towards the end. But with Andy Boardman, he's certainly a man that will be on the charge to the end, because a driver like him, he will always try to push his way on through, no matter what the circumstances may end up for him. Whether he's in 1st, 5th, or even 10th, he will always push to gain that extra place at the end.
Niels Engelhardt now shooting himself around the outside there of the GT4s. Excuse me. Diego Catalan also taking the last lap, so I think he's found a little bit of pace somewhere in the back pockets of that number 75 Porsche. But this is a tremendous effort there for Niels Engelhardt. Has really been riding the waves of the wet track there. And speaking of wet track, somebody's gone off there. That looks to be the shape there of a. It seems like there. Have to have a look here, and we'll get it's Richard Whitehall alongside one of the Mercedes D717 there. So they bump their way through. We'll have a look and see who that is in that GT4 category. 717 is Martin Lawrence. So I was right with the Chevrolet. That is our GT4 leader.
Yes, leading the race as well as leading the championship. What a way to take the championship home and then to lead at the track where it all began. With Martin Lawrence, it's a bit of redemption here, as I don't think he got 1st place at Donington, so it's a little bit of a redemption arc here at Donington Park. But as we sit with Joe Dauber, currently sitting in P21, but for him, he is sitting in 4th in his split, trying to find a way along with the traffic. There's a few GT3s wanting to barge their way through as he tries to fight his way up to Kevin Boss, that's just up ahead. But these GT3s aren't going to make it any easier for him to try and get up into Kevin Boss's rear bumper.
Kevin, of course, part of the RCI team, will be absolutely survive on this one. It's I think I spoke about getting this it's kind of sticker for everyone, and it's the I Survived Donington Park sticker, because I think the first race was so chaotic back at round 1 that I said everyone kind of deserves a sticker to slap on their simulator to say that they survived. I think we may need a second installation of that as well, knowing the way this race has gone.
Well, it certainly has, especially with how chaotic some parts have been. But for all in all, it's been, despite what place they are, we all have to commend them as to where they've ended up. Whether you're 1st, 5th, 10th, or even dead last on the grid, we always want to say thank you for taking part of all of our races. And of course, if you ever want to take any of our future races, whether it's the next series, it's Sylvia series, as we take a look into a replay of Andy Boardman looking towards the inside of some GT4s at the hairpin. A little bit of a shot there and a little bit of a hit from the Mercedes as he's whacked onto the grass and almost into the barrier. So with GT4 traffic, with these cars able to bounce off, it's not going to be great for Andy Boardman, as we sit with Joe Dauber sitting along the outside there with the BMW. A little bit of a graze there of Honzel at the rear quarter. So a little bit of argy-bargy with some drivers here, especially with some GT4s having the thicker car that to push them away.
Ooh, who's that out wide onto the wet grass? I'm not entirely sure.
I want to say it's Pimlots that's gone wide there. We'll have a look at the telemetry on here. We can see, doesn't see anything of that, but see Joe Dauber making the pass on to Kevin Boss on turn 1 there, taking an inside line to just to snatch away the P20 position. So while we might have didn't get snatched by the GT3, he certainly snatched his way up into another place.
Yeah, I think you're right there in it being Pimlott. He's not had the best of races whatsoever. 5 laps down for the BMW driver using the Team WRT livery, the Belgian-based team World Challenge Series. Oh, he's gone wide again. I don't know if that's going to be resulting in a damaged car or if that's struggling with grip, but yeah, that is not a very happy.
Yeah, I think he might be nursing the car because obviously I haven't seen him go back into the pit lane on the track mapping you can see on the right hand side. So I think he might have picked up some damage and hasn't been able to run from there. But it's hard to tell with how dark and how wet this track is with trying to find out if there's any damage with these cars. We've just seen the most recent up-to-date penalty incidents that come through. I'm not going to show them all to you. I'm just going to shout out the 2 penalties that have come up as lap 22 turn 10 between the 35 and the 79 for a 10-second penalty for 35 for avoidable contact, and the other penalty being a 5-second penalty for car 79. There's a big replay here as you see onto the Philip Breccia taking a look onto the inside of Casablanca here, trying to look on the outside on stretch here with Mike Redford ahead. It's just a bit of GT4 chaos here as they go side by side as if you're the Coppice corner, but it's Mike Redford takes out John Casablanca of the French driver. I'm just tripping up my words here as there's just excitement of just traffic being a traffic taker for this here, as John Dalton likes to keep using, especially with multi-class racing, Adam.
Indeed. I'll be honest, I think that was more of Cass and Jaina, his own wrongdoing, because I think he thought that he cleared the McLaren, especially seeing the visibility. You know, you have no idea. So he thought he passed the McLaren, obviously didn't, sent himself off the track. So big sorry there to John, Sebastian, Cass and Jaina. Yeah, I really shouldn't be pointing fingers, but but yeah, I will say that Philip Breccia had no wrongdoing in that one either, so it had to be between the two. I think that the McLaren just kept on its line, and it was a case of Kat and Jaina going through, thinking, "Oh, I've passed him." No, he hasn't.
But look at that. Sorry to butt in there, but that was a move there between Breccia and Andy Boardman as he moved towards the inside there. Just suddenly had a lot more grip through Philip Breccia. He's able to just capitalize a bit more, but Andy Boardman is not going to give up here. It looks like they're going to go side by side through into the S's here. A little bit of overlap there, but it's not enough for Boardman to make the move. But going back onto that incident there, it's something that will be it's hard to tell from angles like this, so it's always best just to, when the stewards get to look, they get to see a lot more than what we can with these incidents like that. But I still can't believe that was a fantastic move from Breccia just to take that P2 spot there. But he still has that 10-second penalty, so he's going to dip right back into the 4th position here as Boardman and Dalton is able to capitalize on this mistake.
It's John Dalton down in towards Redgate, and we've done plenty of laps here. 36 laps have been clocked here by Niels Engelhardt, and we're really starting to run thin towards the end of this race. And it's been a superb race so far. John Dalton has been one who has very much been keeping consistent there. He's right behind Andy Boardman, and this is the battle for 2nd place on the road here. Philip Breccia's task is to absolutely send the heck out of that Mercedes because he knows that there is a 10-second time penalty coming at the end of this race. He will be behind both these drivers. If they start dicing away for the last 2 minutes, goodness knows where Philip Breccia could end up in all of this. He could end up second, he could end up fourth.
Yeah, it certainly there's a lot of places he can end up being in, but it really depends on what will happen going forward. Going forward here, because remember there was an incident on Castanega and well, Breccia and Redford. So it really depends on what's going to happen with the stewards, because remember they can see more than what we can. So it really depends on all that sort of stuff. As it looks to be a little bit a little bit skittish here between John Dalton and Andy Boardman, as it's a freeway fight for P3. So we'll see what comes of it between these drivers.
It's still looking pretty tight at the moment, but it's still the Ferrari leading ahead of the BMW. The BMW thought it saw a gap there. Wasn't quite there, but finds a way through somehow, muscles his way through. That will be second place there for John Dalton, counting Philip Breccia penalty. Oh my goodness me! And through I was going to say Alton Park for some reason. I think that really jumbled in my head. I was at Alton Park, I think last weekend, the weekend just before. So that's kind of why I fumbled with my brain. We're at Old Hall, Old Hairpin. My apologies. Oh my goodness me! I'm really messing up my corners in these latter stages, and it doesn't help with Ash Bibby shouting down my ear like a lunatic. I'm not going to finish that sentence.
We all love Ash in some way or another. He loves this as much as we do. And of course, if everybody around here, there's plenty of characters on there who we all love, who all have unique traits when it comes to being on here. And Ash Bibby is certainly a unique fella. Certainly is one that you all to love. As another incidents are coming through here. So far, we've just got a no further action with one of the incidents here on between the likes of 28 and the 899. So we'll see if any more penalties or any more incidents will come through. So as our RCI steward McKenna McConnell is letting us know that more is on the way. So as it looks to be, we are down to 0 seconds on the clock to Adam.
We are indeed, and it looks like Niels Engelhardt is on for a fantastic win here, but it's not over because this is the battle here with Andy Boardman and Lily Armstrong. Now a 5-second time penalty being given there by Boardman, so I wonder if there was a small cut there coming out of old Hairpin. A superb run race here, but this is going to really change up everything here in terms of this final result here. Lily Armstrong will look for a gap here potentially through the Melbourne Hairpin will go Niels Engelhardt. I think that's one of the GT4 just moving aside. I think that looks like one of the Alpines. It does seem to be Lily Armstrong just ashing away behind the Ferrari. But it doesn't seem like Boardman will budge. But someone who will get their first win in the championship. The curtain closes. Niels Engelhardt wins the final race, the Mini British GT Championship, and it's his first win of the season. A superb run by the German. It'll be Philip Breccia to come home in second with that 15-second time penalty. He'll get dropped there with John Dalton taking home that second place. Andy Boardman will look to take third with Lily Armstrong there, followed by Nico Kumpu, who will head home in sixth. John Sebastian Castanjana, what could have been a podium for him, he'll end up in. And then we have Hornsel, Shipson, Diego Catalan. But let's look to our newly crowned champion with Martin Lorenk wins in the GT4 category. And I believe it is going to be a tough one. And I think it's just going to be Chevrolet that will take the manufacturers for GT4. A fantastic effort from Chevrolet right at the end. I think that win from Lorenk and that 23rd overall for Tibor Roskam will do it over Joe Dorber and Spoda Skrillex. A fantastic couple of results for them.
Certainly is fantastic results for everybody involved tonight, but I saw for there the very last second, Lily Armstrong picked up a drive-through penalty, and because they crossed the line, they got an additional 40 seconds added on to their time, so that's going to bring Lily Armstrong down to 9th position overall. But you can see currently right now for the GT3 standings, Engelhart, Dalton, and Boardman round out your podium spots with Nico Kampu and Philip Breccia with after his penalties sitting in P5 position. So not bad results onto there as we move on to GT4s with Martin Lawrence, Emil Plate, and Will Stevenson taking the top podium spots. But not far behind it, Reese Wilkinson, the split 2 driver, takes the win and his split with Joe Dauber and Callum Kerrigan rounding out the top 5 positions. So it'll be interesting to see how many points will be down between the likes of Reese Wilkinson and Callum Kerrigan, because they were on a tight championship fight between them two. So we'll get a chance to see the points once they come through.
Indeed. We've had a superb race, and wanted to know what Donington Park looks like in the dry in the day. There it is. Enjoy that view. If you've kind of been, if your eyes have been a little bit hurt by the rain and the rain and the, I said darker, of course, is what I'm trying to say, but my words just didn't want to come out then. It looks like we've got Mike Redford lined up for an interview. He's already in here. Mike, you are live on RSI. Not the most ideal way to end out your campaign. Talk us through it.
Got caught out at the first corner, I think. I ended up outbrake myself, ended up having to go to the outside to avoid hitting anyone. And just got caught up in whatever happened after turn 1. I'm not sure exactly what happened. I got sideswiped by a Camaro, which I don't think was Martin, because I think he was too far ahead of me. So it might have been Roscam, but I'm not sure. And then just chaos. Tried to rejoin and got sideswiped by someone else who was in the grass. Yeah, I was good recovery drive up to that point. I was looking forward to having a fight with Kevin, just as we pitted, but unfortunately I put dry tyres on. So I had to do 2 pit stops, so that ruined that fun. But yeah, I had really good pace when my tyres were in the groove, but yeah, it wasn't the day today. And I think Martin and the Ginettas in front, they just had all of the speed.
It might not have been to. Sorry for about that, Adam. I just want to say hello. Long time. Well, myself and Mike are long time teammates in the same team, but I just want to ask. This could have been a season that could have been. You seem to have a lot of strong results. Wilkins getting a couple podiums, couple trying to chase down Martin Lawrence quite a few times, battling out between them. Just what's the mentality when you are starting to get yourself into this mindset that you might take podiums, you might take wins, you just have that you're going to be battling out between the top guys?
It's a nice change of pace, and it only seems to happen in GT4s for some reason, which I'll take. It's a shame we don't use the class more often, or more sims don't have it, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know. It just kind of happened really, because I looked at the lineup before the season started, and a couple of guys who I've raced against in GT4s before, and I thought they would be quite a bit ahead of me. But I don't know why, but whether the BOP is favourable for the McLaren a bit, I don't know. But I'm happy to be fighting for podiums. Shame I didn't quite get a win this season, but there's always next time. And I missed a race as well, so which happy to still be fighting Dauber for P2 in the last race, despite missing out on a result.
Indeed. Yeah, I would say that this isn't really a reflection of what your season has kind of been. You've been super, super competitive. Are you potentially looking maybe to next season, seeing what you can do there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think last time we did it's the M2s, isn't it? I think. Yeah. I don't know. I'll definitely be here, but I don't expect me to be fighting for podiums, I don't think. But I'll be giving it my best.
That's what we love to hear. Anything else from you, Matt?
No, just obviously thank you very much. Is there anybody you want to shout out to, or anybody you want to say hello to before you go?
No, just thanks to all you guys and staff who put on these races. It's always great, and especially the live stewards, because post-race stewarding, it's still great, but there's something about it being live that adds that bit of authenticity to it. So thank you guys.
Oh well, thank you for joining us. But as one person to thank, there is another one to congratulate as we go on to our very own RCI Callum Kerrigan. Callum, you've not been outside the podium spot the entire time you've been racing on this, and you've managed to take yourself the championship win here for Split 2 GT4. How do you feel on that?
Yeah, it feels good. Feels good. It feels like a long time coming. I think I've come P2
Far too
in
long.
a lot of championships here, so it's good to get the P1 finally notched off the belt. And goddamn, Reese Wilkinson pushed me to the last goddamn race. He was just so consistent, so good, and so darn quick. Had to work for it for sure.
Oh, the same can go for you, especially with you seem to be very pessimistic of yourself whenever I speak to you about races. You always say you're a one-shot qualifier or anything like that, but it seems like this series has done the opposite for yourself.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's the best I've ever been, for sure. Yeah, usually we call it the standard Callum moves. Like I have great pace, doing really well in the race, and there's always one major incident. It tends to happen at least once a race. It's classic me, but I haven't had that this season. I've just been. I don't know if it's the GT4s. Don't know if something has awoken in me. I guess, but no, it's been by far the most proud I can be on the sim.
I'll kind of move on to kind of batten the conditions because Alan, they were very, very tough. We got a little bit of an onboard of you on your qualifying lap, and it just looked sketchy from start to finish. Kind of go through the feelings and the riding the waves of that as well.
Yeah, it's I think hard's an understatement. I've already seen a few people message saying like they are single-handedly probably the hardest conditions they've had in terms of multi-class Donington, that kind of weather. Yeah, it was just tough. It felt like the brakes were inconsistent every time you were on the brakes. But through the corners, the car felt like it had great grip. I didn't think I would be able to touch Ginetta today, but I think I just about hung on to Reese at the end of the race. For me, knowing I was coming into this needing a P3 after the pole or a P2 before the pole, I just was focusing on keeping it on the road. To be honest, I wasn't trying to push like an insane amount, really.
And of course, does this kind of push you on maybe further? Of course, you looked so competitive amongst that split one class. What are you kind of looking for maybe going into next season if you are going to be here next season?
Well, sadly, I'm not here next season because I'm on holiday. But we'll obviously be watching the broadcast on holiday because I am genuinely gutted that I'm missing the TCX season. It is by far my favourite car in the game. Absolutely love it. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, it gives me the confidence that I can be consistent in a race stint now. And hopefully, strong things go from there. But I will be watching on the sidelines from a TCX, and being a member of RCI, I might join the Stewards team for the final 2 races or something like that.
Callum, it's been a pleasure to have you in our interview room. All the best in future rounds, and I'm sure we'll keep an eye on your progress very closely.
Thanks very much, guys. Much love. Thank you.
Yes. It looks like we also have Will Stevenson is in our chat at the moment. So, Will, it was a mighty race from you. Very, very tough conditions. Kind of sum up your race for us.
I mean, I'm not sure if third was deserved. I think I probably had the pace for a little bit better. Unfortunately, some of the driving standards from GT3s weren't great out there, which kind of ruined my race slightly, but hey ho, it happens. It was good fun at the end, but just, kind of lost it off the start, really.
overall, you say that third place wasn't quite deserved, but is that the way you wanted to maybe end out your season, or are you hoping for more?
I mean, obviously going into the race, I know the Jeanette is quick in the wet, and I know it's quick around this track. Obviously took the lead on lap 1, so was kind of hoping for more, and then just didn't really materialise. So yeah, it's been pretty much a season of finishing within the top 3, but not quite having the pace to finish at least in the top 2.
Yeah, it can be a little bit unfortunate, but of course you say it's a bit about the car, but it really is a lot about the person that's behind the wheel as well. Like, obviously, I've raced against you before, Will. You're very talented. You're very much a person that can do a lot, behind a wheel of a car. But I mean, so far you got yourself a good couple of podium positions. You did obviously had a couple of mishaps at Silverstone and Snetterton, but all in all, would you say the round out the season that you're quite happy with what you've accomplished so far?
I mean, in terms of the races I finished, it's been successful. I think every race I at least finished this season, I finished on the podium, which was good. Obviously, Silverstone and Snetterton were not the world's greatest races. Did get a win at Alton Park, probably not the most deserved win of all time, that one, but I'll take it nonetheless. And yeah, other than that, it's been a good season. It's been good, nice to fight the guys at the front, and hopefully we'll see how it goes next season.
Yeah, well, hopefully it'll all go well. But before we round off for you, is there anybody who wants to say hello or say thank you to?
Obviously to you guys, the stewards, I don't really envy them after today. They did a fantastic job all season, as did you guys. So thank you as always for putting the events on.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Will, and we'll hope to see you next season. But as we
Perfect.
then switch over to Martin Lawrence, firstly,
Hello.
congratulations already. I should have said this last week when you were crowned the champion, but as usual, you take it in dominating force. You seem obviously you drive on the esports team for RCI. Just tell us how this season is as a whole. Is there anything you feel like you can improve on, or is it just been a flawless season?
It was not definitely flawless. It was good. I guess the Camaro is not bad, definitely. There could be better picks for the champ, I bet. I think Alpine could be, with some proper setups, could be really quick around these tracks. But yeah, I was really lucky with the traffic overall in the championship. I was never like hit from behind or like spinning out and such things. I did few incidents which I'm sorry about, but yeah, overall I was like avoiding everything basically, and that like made me win such as today, because I think today, if there wouldn't be like a chaos and the Ferrari putting Will off track, I wouldn't be really first, because guys in the Genitas, that pace was and the KTM is just quick on this heavy medium. The camera was handling really badly. It got better when it when it was less of a rain. I started to overheat the rear tires, and suddenly I got a rotation from it. So, yes, tasks failed successfully, I guess. And yeah, I enjoyed the second part of the race was good. I did an undercut because I couldn't. There was no way I would overtake after my mistake. Overtake Eno again. So yeah, needed to do something different. I got a clean air after the pit stop and worked like a charm. I'm usually overcutting, so undercut was like after half a year, I guess. I mean, I never undercut basically, so yeah, I'm happy that it worked. It was good, great overall. The champ was fun. The multi-class here on RCI is always big fun if you're not getting hit every race by some mistakes.
So I'll pass you over to Adam. He might have a question or two for you, as especially with he's probably got one or two who wants to shout out to you?
I will go with kind of a round off the whole season because Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure to cover your entire season, and you've been absolutely remarkable all year. Do you think? How do you think the season has gone as a whole?
Come again, the last question.
How do you think the season has gone as a whole?
Oh well, the season went very well. Actually I expected like how you call it, more dead bodies from the GT4s, because usually when we were running some championships, the GT4 field was like signing out a lot. But here, surprisingly, the GT4 stands strong, which was great to see. Like I think 19 GT4s today. It was great to see it. So yeah, definitely I see it as a positive. Negative is, well, the ACC is not that of a popular game that much, so I'm happy that I see like at least one whole split filled up, because I'm still not a mega fan of those other games. Or I think that's a skill issue, but hey, one way or another. So yeah, I'm happy just to have another championship in the ACC, so I'm happy with it. And it was overall it was great with the weather, with the format. I enjoyed it into the last point really.
You know, in terms of next season, will we be able to see next season potentially jump in a GT3?
Depends what will be the champ. If there will be a multi-class again, I might get a GT3 into it. Because yeah, well, the Bentley still waits in the garage, so needs to be. I haven't seen one through the championship, so needs to be done.
Well,
Absolutely.
but thank you very much, Martin. Before you head off, is there anybody you want to say thank you to or say hello to tonight?
Oh, hello to everyone who is listening, who's watching. Hello to you, to all of the RCI squad, as commentators, stewards, everyone, because doing great job in my point of view. And yeah, thank you for all those supporting people and sponsors and everyone. Happy to be here.
Well, thank you very much, Martin. We've still got one more person left to go by, and it's none other than our event manager, Kevin Boss himself. Kevin, you've essentially have gone. Firstly, I want to the first question I want to ask you is, what do you rate your season as a whole as you're driving here, and obviously for yourself, that's more recently appointed to take over the Monday Championship since Tim Ireland decided to step down. How's it been trying to manage the Monday gang, especially with how I wouldn't say chaotic, but how enthusiastic they can be?
And yeah, it's been pretty good so far, actually. I was already surprised by the turnout on the first championship I did with the Deutschland Masters. But then, yeah, we actually kept some good people around even for all the other things we did. And then, you know, for the first time in over a year and a half to start off with 2 splits was way beyond my expectations. I was very happily surprised by that. So I'd say this has gone very well. Of course, you're gonna get the sign outs, and then from basically round 4 onwards, I believe we merge the splits. So yeah, it's to still keep the numbers up, but yeah, yeah, I've been very happy about how this all went.
No, I've been very happy with this as well because it seems to me that you have a lot of great ideas to put onto the table and everything else that's come by. But would you like to give a? I've already mentioned this earlier on in the broadcast, but would you like to give a little hint as to what the next Monday series is going to involve?
It's already been announced. So first of all, from ACC, we're going to have a little bit of a break because this was a 7-round championship, and also after this champ and the one before, with all the work the stewards had to do, they deserve a little bit of a rest as well. So in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have a one-off race in LMU, in the LMP2s and GTEs at the Bahrain International Circuit. It's 1 hour multi-class there as well. So if you wanted to give LMU a chance, definitely have a look there with the Monday gang, because even though it is LMU, it's still Monday, it's still multi-class, it's still something different than everyone else does. And 2 weeks after that, we start with the TCX Season 2, which does have a different name this time. It's called the Sylvia Series. It's because a friend of ours, their friend has been in hospital in and out, and yeah, basically all their life. And yeah, we wanted to give a little bit of recognition to the help that our RCI team members done, and support to their friends. So that's going to be a TCX champ 5 rounds, starting at Barcelona in 4 weeks from now.
Certainly is one to be excited for. Any questions from yourself, Adam?
Nothing from me. Kevin, it's been great to have you in the box. It's unfortunate you couldn't get a fantastic result, but you're happy with what you're settled with.
Yeah, it's just sad that after round 1 my wheelbase broke. So I got 0 points in round 1 because I couldn't drive, and then had to miss the next 5. So then only being able to race round 6 and 7. But I got a P3 in both of them, and when I crashed out of race 1, I was also in P3. So I think that does show that I could have had a very decent result in this championship. So that's the positive, and we'll see how that goes into the M2 champ.
Absolutely. I think we'll go on to Matt, because let's not drag this out too long. Our curtain has come to a close. Had a fantastic championship.
No, of course. Just before you do head off, Kevin, is there anybody you want to say hello or say thank you to anybody?
Well, a big thank you as always to the whole Monday gang for always signing up and being there every round. The guys in Vulcan Racing today for the fun in the voice chat, and of course everyone else here at RCI, you guys in the box and the stewards in the stewarding room, because Monday is not what it is without everyone helping out and making these champs what they are. So from me, a big thank you to everyone helping out.
No, and thank you for for setting up this one. But thank you, Kevin, and hope you have yourself a lovely evening.
Thank you.
So as we turn away from the interviews, we'll turn over towards our final standings for this 2025 Mini British GT. We'll start off with the GT Freeze for the Pro Series, with Diego Catalan takes the championship win, as he did last week, with 199 points, with John Dalton and Philip Breccia having a close battle between them. So John Dalton taking the top spot between them of 156.5 points, with Philip Breccia 149.5. Nico Campu and Tom Shipston take round off the top 5, 145 and 108.5 points, with Niels Engelhardt being 2 points behind the top 5 spots. So he'll be a little bit kicking himself a little bit for that. But with Marcus Hansel and Marco Budowski sharing a very close battle between 184 and 82 points respectively, with Lily Armstrong and Andy Boardman rounding out the top 10. Taking a look on to the other side, you got John Sebastian Casaniega with 49 points for the 992 Porsche, with Nicholas Keller at 38 points, with Carlos Calatiad, Jake Howling, Jordan Daly, and Nicole Fox running out the top 16, with everybody else with a dash that signed up for the championship. Taking a look on to the GT4 Pro, we've got Martin Lawrence with 236 points, a dominating lead over the likes of Joe Dauber and Mike Redford, with 153 and 136.5 points between them both, with Will Stevenson and Emo Plate rounding up the top 5, with RCI Aaron Jackson and Spooder Skrillex being a close battle between them with 92 and 86.5 points, with Tedders, Gano Manso, and Richard Phillips rounding out your top 10. As we look on the other page as well, we got Philbob Roscam with 59 points, with Raphael Huel only 4 points behind, as he wasn't here for the final round tonight, with Martin Foster and Eric Acne rounding out the rest of the positions, with everybody else with a dash signed out the championship. But I'll leave you with Adam Reed to take over the split 2.
Indeed, Split 2 will be coming up, and they've had a super championship for them sake. Despite being thrown in with the split ones, they've really held their own. Of course, championship standings are going to look like this and not quite loaded up, so I'll continue to ramble, but there they go. It's the GT3 Silver. Les Stevenson is your championship winner, claimed it back at Brands Hatch with 231.5 points, resulted by Andrew Riefer, the American, in the Porsche on 161. Richard Whitehall in the Ferrari ahead of Tom Watts' Aston Martin, with Idris Barthez in his Lamborghini. Peter Lundqvist in his Lamborghini 85, with Ibiza Racer in its 7th, and Neil Pilmott 18 points in his BMW. Adnan Pusina and Cairo Samuel, the Barbadian, finishing 10th, but of course he was out of the year. We then go on to our more signed out drivers: Jake Spinner, Gertrude Speed, Sam Lloyd, Follen Johan, Nicolas Galois, and Matt Henry signed out in respective Ferraris. Towards the GT4s, it is Callum Kerrigan who claimed the championship in Martin, with Reese Wilkinson in his Ginetta, followed by Rudy Fulmata in his Ginetta. Teta Thirdly will be the lead Alpine on 90. Davey in the McLaren 85 for him. The two Alpines with Daniel Crinton and Hugo Duby on 77.5 and 76.5, 1 point between those. Then we find 2 points back is Erwald Reichen, the BMW in 8th, Verena and Kevin Boss, 50 points there in P10. Moving our way further on down the field, Damien Lowe is the only one who's picked up points. He is on 46.5 for 7th place at KTM. Sign-outs from James Purchase, Beckett, Peter Varga, Gamer Extreme, Bernardo Texera, and Benjamin Elney in respective cars. And that's off the standings for the Split 1, Split 2, GT3s, GT4s. Well, I don't know about you. I know it's been 2 rounds for you, but it's been pretty much the majority of the season for me. We've had a fantastic season, racing on so many iconic British circuits, from the northern circuits of Alton Park, from the Midlands of Stetton and Silverstone and Donington, all the way down to the southern UK parts at Brands Hatch, and even into Europe for Spa. It's been a season you should not have missed, but you can also keep an eye on all the clips that are going to be posted on RCI channels on Instagram, and I'm sure they'll be on everywhere. There's also a website as well if you want to sign up to any of our championships. It's been as I say, a superb championship. Just keep an eye on what else we're doing. We're also more stuff on Le Mans Ultimate, so make sure to keep an eye on the YouTube channel for that. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the YouTube things that you usually do to interact with the video and boost us up on the recommended page as well. Matt, anything from you before I round it off?
Just one little thing. Of course, we were mentioning all the events for down here, but be mindful, we do have on this weekend, we do have the Ready Set Sim Endurance Series, just in time for the summer break, with currently for Road America for 2 hours and 14 minutes. We'll certainly be live on there, and you might see myself onto the little booth once more. But again, as well as this weekend, we've also got the 500 kilometers of Le Mans just for on LMU. So all 3 wet classes are available for sign up. So you can sign up on both on our RCI.com and on SimGrid together. But of course, we want to give a thank you to all the partners that are revolving on the left-hand side of your screen. But most importantly, we want to thank you guys for watching, for participating, or even just giving us some general support. So from myself, Matt Malcolm, with Adam Reed and Ash Bibby, thank you very much. Take care and have yourself a lovely week.
You ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Get behind the wheel, let's let's go. Grip the road, feel the flow. Thunder roaring, steel alive. Live this dream and drive. Tires burning with gasoline. Push the limits, chasing green. One shot, don't slow, go on, we'll take control. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. We're chasing taillights. The miles they fade, but they don't die. Faster now, the hours fly by. Sweat and gears, hearts in sync. On the edge, on the brink. Clock ticks down, stakes are high. One mistake, we kiss us goodbye. Don't slow down, we're not done. Finish line for the strong ones. Engines scream alive tonight. Blazing past the red line. Outrun the night, won't lose this fight. Follow the road, red line for show. We're chasing taillights, don't let go. Under the stars, we'll go so far. This is who we are. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Chasing taillights. Feel the rush, see the goal. Every second, take control. The world blurs, time won't wait. We rise, we fight,